Yeah, definitely. I'm just going to actually ask you that. I'm handing that to you. Ready to start in just a moment. Thank you. Has anyone come from Brisbane tonight? Yes, apparently there's an accident. Whereabouts did anyone get stuck anywhere on the way? You've left yourselves in plenty of time to get here, obviously.
Yeah.
Our psychologist is actually waiting for his wife to get home from work so he can join us. And she's stuck in the accident. Share. All right. Questions to answer, aren't they? All right, I'm going to make a start. Good evening, everybody. My name's Felicity and welcome to Weight Loss Solutions Australia. Thank you so much for making the effort to come and join us tonight. I can't quite believe that it's already November and second last seminar of the year. This is something that we host here once a month. And it's a really fabulous night because it's an opportunity for us to not only introduce you to the team, but to actually share with you all of the options that are available for you when you're considering weight loss, whether it's a non-surgical or a surgical procedure. And hopefully tonight will be the opportunity for you to have all of your questions answered. So first piece of advice is to really make this about you and to make the time to really ask your questions and leave here tonight as well informed as you intend to be, and go home equipped to hopefully make those further decisions that you're ready to now make. I'd just like to welcome all of our viewers who are watching us via our live webinar tonight. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us. Please also ask questions. Melanie is here at our front reception desk and there is a chat feature. So if you do have questions, we will promise to answer them as quickly as we possibly can. And also we'd just like you to actually, if you can just comment now online to Melanie and just let her know that the sound is working, we'd really appreciate it. So thank you so much. All right, so please don't be concerned about the camera for all of those of you who are here. It's literally just so that we can broadcast at the same time to people who are at home. We have people from tonight, I think, Rockhampton, Toowoomba and various other locations around Queensland where they've decided that they'll be happier in the comfort of their own living rooms watching us rather than sitting here as you are tonight. All right, so first of all, just a little bit about me. My name's Felicity. I've been involved in this industry and as the CEO and practice manager once upon a time with Weight Loss Solutions Australia for now over 14 years. And just to give you a bit of an idea as to, why do we do this? Why do we do what we do? So many reasons. And I think the most important things to think about are all the medical issues that go hand in hand with having an issue in relation to being overweight. Prevention is key. If you've already got some kind of concerns about your weight now and you're thinking about what is that going to mean for me in the future, in terms of the health complications, the typical and the most prevalent health-related complications that we see in relation to being overweight and morbidly obese. Number one would be the type 2 diabetes. It's such a significant and overwhelming, medical comorbidity that goes hand in hand with being overweight and excessively overweight and morbidly obese, that we actually see fantastic results in terms of outcomes as soon as 6 weeks post-surgery. So those are the kind of benefits that we're looking at and that we see and that we get to experience with patients every single day of our lives here, which is so rewarding. And then so many other medical issues, whether it's sleep apnea, joint-related problems, cardiovascular risk, and premature death. That's just something to think about, that these are some of the issues that patients who suffer from being overweight and morbidly obese so often are facing and thinking about. So reversing those situations, controlling them, managing them, and converting yourself into something that looks like a much healthier profile for the future is such a thing. It's something to really start to think about. I've given you all notepads because I'd like you actually just to take a moment right now to think about if you could visualize and see yourself as how you'd like to see yourself 12 months from now. Think about the top 3 things that you'd most like to change in your life, and just take a moment to write those down. It's just for you. I'm not collecting this up. It's just something to think about the future you and what you'd like to see, how you'd like to see yourself. It might be, you'd like to be more mobile, you'd like to be more active with your children or your grandchildren, or you'd like to feel comfortable to go to the gym, for example, or maybe you'd like to actually get into a pair of swimmers and be in the pool with your kids. Doesn't matter what it is, or you'd like to see your medication reduced for a certain comorbid condition. So if it's something specific that you'd like to see yourself as in the future, just think about how that looks for you. Just take a moment to do that. Can I ask if there's actually anyone in the room who's previously had a bariatric surgical procedure? Yes? What procedure?
I had a gastric sleeve 2 years ago.
Okay, fantastic. Congratulations. Anybody else who's actually had a previous procedure? No? Apart from all of our special guests. All right. Is everyone done with thinking about those things? Yep. All right. I'd like to actually also take a moment to introduce you to most of our professional team who are here tonight. You might have just heard me say that we're still waiting on our psychologist who's stuck waiting for a traffic accident to clear to get himself here. Hopefully he'll be with us shortly. So tonight, the way things are going to work is I will introduce you to each of our professional team members who will tell you a little bit about their role, what they do, and how that impacts the whole process and the journey for each patient coming through our clinic. And then we also have a couple of patients who are going to share their stories. So let me start by introducing you to Carol. So Carol actually is a registered nurse who's worked with me here at Weight Loss Solutions Australia for coming up to about something like over 14 years or something like that, I think.
Something like that.
So her role here is not just on reception, and she's very integrated into managing the whole process for patients going through our system. But tonight she's actually also going to share her own personal story of having had the Albira intragastric balloon. Melanie is our patient relationship officer. Fantastic resource for patients, to talk about having that opportunity to speak to people in our team who've actually already been through a specific procedure. And I think we've pretty much got them all covered. Melanie's actually going to share her own story as well about her bariatric surgery as well, and give you some insight into her own personal story a little bit later on. But as the patient relationship officer, her connection with patients is so important because you can actually, discuss those issues with her. She organises a number of events and things for patients as well. Michelle is not here tonight. She's another one of our reception team, but she's also a qualified chef. So we tend to multitask here. Wherever there's specific skills, we tend to kind of make the most of a bit of diversity so that we can contribute those skills back to our patients as well. And so Michelle actually runs some fantastic cooking classes, teaching you all about healthy eating and what food looks like with various bariatric interventions. And that's something that you can access as part of a program, and it's a lot of fun. So that's some of the work that she does when you get to meet her here. Michelle Scott is another of our registered nursing team. She has a very diverse role. Not only is she a clinical nurse who manages patients who are involved in a research or clinical trial situation, but she's also highly skilled in terms of managing bariatric patients. And one of the things that Michelle does is look after all of the gastric banding adjustments for patients with gastric bands. So an exceptional skill in making sure that patients actually achieve getting into that right zone, what she would pretty much probably classify as the green zone, getting you into the sweet spot and how that works. And tonight she's actually going to talk to you about all of the bariatric procedures that we offer here tonight and how they work. Bonnie is our dietitian, one of our dietitians. We have two dietitians on our team here, Bonnie and Peter. So pretty much with the dietitian team, you can actually see either or, that's fine. It doesn't matter if you meet Bonnie in the first instance or Peter, you can see either of them. And then we also have two psychologists on our team, Warren, who's going to join us here shortly, and Kerry. So we also have another special guest who I'll introduce you to a little bit later, who's also sharing her patient story. All right, so welcome once again. I'd like now to introduce you to Michelle Scott to give you a bit of an insight into surgical procedures. Thanks, Michelle.
Hello, everyone. Oh, I got smiles from nearly everyone in the room, so that's a good thing. Well, as Felicity said, my role here is quite diverse, but one of the most rewarding parts of my role is working with patients and getting them to set goals and work towards those goals and see them achieve it. So it's really quite an exciting part that I get to play here. But tonight we're going to cover off on the different options that are available to you. I'm sure that you've all done a little bit of research or a lot of research, depends on what type of personality you are, but I'm going to cover off on the basics. My background is actually theatre nursing, so I've worked in theatre for 15 years. I shouldn't say that, it makes me sound really old, doesn't it? So I guess I have a fairly solid understanding of the procedure itself, and I brought along some toys for you to see tonight that freak some people out, but also helps you visualize, I guess, a little bit of what's involved, okay? So Felicity's already really touched on the comorbidities or the things that come with being obese and being overweight, and those obviously increase your risk. And because it's such a diverse thing, she mentioned diabetes, she mentioned high blood pressure, polycystic ovaries, so difficulty, infertility, things like that are all things that play a part in what's involved with being overweight and struggling. And so because it's such a diverse thing, it's important to have a really holistic approach. And that's exactly what our clinic here at WLSA has. We're very much about the whole person and the individual person, not about just, okay, you've had your surgery, you can take it from here. Okay, so I guess one of my take-home messages is that there's a huge amount of support here to help you achieve what you want to achieve. So just plug into it. Okay, so that's just my little take-home message right at the beginning. So there's three options that we offer here, three key options that we offer. One's a non-surgical approach and the other two are surgical therapies. So I'll just go through each one very briefly, and there are a lot of other things associated with that, but I'm not going to cross over with what the dietitian and psychologist are going to share with you. So I'm just really going to talk about the procedure itself, okay? So the first one we might take on tonight is the Orbera balloon. Just grab my little toys because I think it's always good to see something, isn't it? You don't want to see it? All right, well, you look that way and I'll hold it up like this, okay? All right, so the Orbera balloon is a non-surgical therapy that we offer. It's something that gets popped into your stomach via a gastroscopy. So a gastroscopy is like a little camera that gets taken down through your mouth and into the stomach. And then they, obviously it's not blown up initially, but it's all squashed in and it's put down through the camera through this little applicator, and then it's inflated into a balloon. Okay.
Do you get knocked out? Is there a shot
No, you're wide awake and talking to, no, not really. Yes, the question up the back was, do you get knocked out? You don't get knocked out. It's just basically like a light anesthetic. So you're still, it's not considered a general anesthetic, but you're not aware really of what's happening. So you won't remember it and be able to tell your friends afterwards. Okay. But basically it's designed to sit in your stomach and fill the space. So you can imagine this is filled up to, I think it's 500 to 800 mils. Am I right, team? I think that's right. Depending on obviously each person, and that sits in the stomach. And it makes you feel quite full, obviously, so that when you go to eat something, your portions are quite significantly reduced. All right, the procedure is a day procedure only, so you go home on the same day. The downtime is really 3 to 4 days recovery. So it's, not a great deal of time off required from work, and it stays in place for 6 months. Okay, after 6 months, it gets removed the exact same way. Obviously, it gets deflated and gets pulled out with the scope. Same thing, you have a light as that you don't feel it. I can see the lady up going like this. You don't feel it, but
Through
yeah.
your nose or your mouth?
Through your mouth. Your mouth, yeah. It's a bit too big to go through your nose, yeah. So that's basically the principle of how that works. It's a very low risk procedure. It's something that is great, really designed for someone who's looking to lose about 10 to 15 kilos. We've had patients that have lost a fraction more than that, some a little bit less, but that's about the average. It comes with, which is really important, a 12-month program. So 6 months, obviously you've got this in place, but the program is for 12 months because like anything, it's important to learn the skills and equip yourself with the behavioural changes and lifestyle changes that are needed. So you've got the support team for a full 12 months to make sure you maintain that weight loss. So that's the Orbera balloon, okay? The non-surgical, low risk, the probably one, immediate side effect that you feel pretty lousy for the first few days is nausea. Okay, and you are on a medication that helps you with preventing reflux, and you're on that pretty much the whole time you've got in there, because you can imagine sitting in your stomach, there's a lot of gastric juices and things there, so that helps to just settle it and prevent it. All right, so that's the Orbera balloon. The second procedure I want to talk to you tonight about is called a gastric sleeve. People have referred to it. So basically you create a sleeve in your stomach, and we've got a nice, really good diagram here of it. So your stomach sort of looks like this, and what the sleeve does is basically cut out 2/3 of or removes 2/3 of your stomach and puts a staple line across here. So you might have heard it referred to as a staple. I have staples in my stomach, okay? So that's basically what it does. Obviously significantly reduces your portion size, your ability to eat, and creates quite significant weight loss. It is done laparoscopically, or what they call keyhole surgery. I'm sure you've all heard of that. So it's done through ports that look very similar to these, okay? Different brand, doesn't matter, but basically the principle is these are little working ports that sit in your belly, and it's inflated, and the surgeon can work and remove that stomach with minimal, obviously, disruption to the outside. So your healing and recovery is a lot quicker. Different size ports according to what's required with the instrument. And the staple, this is my favorite toy, I have to say. This is a staple gun, okay? I'm not doing this to freak you out, okay? This is what is used to apply the staples to your stomach, okay? It's very simple. It's extremely advanced technology, and it's designed to create the best possible outcome for all the patients, okay? So that if anyone wants to play with that later, you can.
Staples made out of
Titanium, really tiny little titanium. I've got a little thing you can have a look at them.
through airports?
No, it's not that significant. Yeah. Okay, so the sleeve itself obviously carries probably the highest, what we would call risk out of all three procedures, because it's the most complicated surgery, okay? So, it involves removing part of your stomach. So the biggest risk for that is significantly in the first few weeks, which they call a leak. And so obviously with the staple line, it's a very protected area, it's new, it's got to heal, okay? So that's probably the biggest risk. It's a very small risk percentage-wise of it actually occurring, but it's the known risk. The advantages of the sleeve is obviously it's permanent. It's something that creates quite significant rapid weight loss, and the progress is quite evident. Okay, so it's a very safe procedure. relatively. It's something that we do all the time, and obviously we have a specialist surgeon. So all he does is bariatric surgery. He does a bit of general, but his specialty is bariatric. So he knows what he's doing. He's a very skilled surgeon, and he gets some really great results. Your recovery time from that, even though it's keyhole, you're usually in hospital for 2 to 3 days. You are on fluids and sort of soft food for at least 4 weeks post-operatively. Obviously, once again, wanting to protect that staple line and make sure that nothing compromises the healing of that. So, those phases are a little bit more extended with the sleeve. And we generally recommend you take at least a couple of weeks off work for that. All right. So that's the sleeve side of things. I think I've covered everything from that, have I? Team? Yep. Okay, so the final procedure that we offer is called the gastric band. It's a procedure that's been around probably the longest out of all the bariatric procedures, and still today is a very effective weight loss procedure. So the band is basically, this is sort of, I guess, pictures it for you, where you've got your stomach, and around the band, it's around the top of the stomach itself, the band sits. And this is what it looks like. It's pretty small, pretty non-invasive. It's also done through keyhole surgery. Okay, so laparoscopic again. So the recovery time is much quicker than, if we had to open up. It's inserted and it sort of locks into place around the stomach and sutured into place, and it's flat and empty at first, and then 6 weeks after surgery we start to add fluid. Okay, and that fluid compresses the stomach and creates a feeling of early fullness for you. So it reduces the portion size. Obviously, you're feeling quite satisfied for a much longer period of time, and you lose weight. Okay, the way that you add the saline, obviously, is through the port. Okay, so this is sitting around the stomach, and then this comes down and sits underneath your abdomen. It's attached to your muscles, so it's not sitting on the outside. It's right in deep, and then it's accessed with a really small needle and added fluid or removed fluid. Okay, so once again, it's a very effective weight loss tool. You're looking at losing an average of 2 to 4 kilos a month. So it's progressive, and it's got a few advantages. One of them being, obviously, it's adjustable. Okay, so, according to what's happening in your life and whether it is or isn't working properly for you, you can adjust it. And Felicity referred to one of my key roles being working with patients with bands, and so getting them into that green zone, I call it, or the spot where it's providing the best feeling of fullness and satisfaction for the longest period of time and creating great weight loss. So that's how the band is designed to work. It once again is a surgical procedure, so you're in hospital for at least 1 or 2 days. The post-operative recovery, you're looking at probably taking a couple of weeks off work as well, depending on how you recover yourself, and you're on sort of fluid and mushy stuff for a couple of weeks, and then you're back to your textured foods. Okay, so the recovery time is probably that little bit quicker. The complications that can occur with a band, the immediate complication is obviously it's a foreign body, isn't it? And we're putting it into our body. So the potential is for infection. That's probably the biggest risk at that stage, which is obviously we take a lot of precautions, and we very much have minimal of that here. The other complication down the track is what they call a slip. So that's where the band can potentially slip out of its position for whatever reasons. It's pretty much unknown why that happens. It is repairable. It is fixable. Okay, but it is something that is a complication. And the other major complication that I guess potentially can happen is what they call an erosion. So that's where it kind of rubs through on the stomach. In that case, it has to be removed. But the advantages, as I said, of the band itself is that it is fairly minimally invasive. It is something that can be removed if there is a problem, or replaced, or repositioned, and it's managed very well if you're working with the clinic. Okay. One thing all of our procedures entail is follow-up. Follow-up is really important if you're wanting to achieve success and you're wanting to achieve the goals that you set out to do. Doesn't matter which procedure you have, follow-up is crucial. And by follow-up, I mean not just coming and seeing the surgeon at 2 and 6 weeks. It's about involving the whole team in your follow-up and plugging you to that support. So, you know, we set out reminder letters and we get you to come along. So I really would encourage you that if you decide that tonight that there's, or down the track, that there's a procedure that you're wanting to have, to really consider that you need to do the follow-up so that you can get the best results and the best outcome for you, okay? Because it is, as I said at the beginning, about the whole person, not just about the surgery. The surgery is but one small part of a journey, okay? And life is a journey, but, you know, in particular, bariatric procedures creates a journey. And so that's kind of like the trigger that then helps you achieve where you're wanting to go. So that's the 3 procedures that we offer. I'm very happy to answer any questions. We'll do questions later or now?
I think now is probably a
Okay.
really good time.
If anyone's got any burning questions that I haven't covered or you're concerned about, please let me know about any of the procedures.
You know how you said you get reflux from it?
You can potentially get reflux from it, yeah.
I reckon I would. So sometimes, like, if you do throw up, you can throw up like big chunks of things. Is there no way you can throw that up?
No.
Because if it's just too
It's
big,
lodged into your stomach, yeah.
you couldn't choke on it or anything?
Well, to choke on it, it would need to come up, and it's physically designed to stay in your stomach. One of the precautions that they do with the Orbira is they inject some dye into it so that if, for instance, it ruptured, you'd start to
Throw up that dye.
no. I was going to say, how's a nice way? Is it urinate or pee, blue or green? My technical terms. And so that would alert you to the fact that you need to come and see us, obviously. That's probably the biggest risk from that.
And if that did occur, how long would you have, you know?
Oh, it's not an urgent thing, but you would call us straight away and say, I think something's going on, and obviously we'd get you in.
So in that balloon inside you, the only thing that's in it is that dye?
Just, no, saline,
Oh,
predominantly saline. So, yeah, so if it did, you know, if for instance it did leak, then it's going to be well absorbed by your body anyway. So it's not a dangerous thing. It's just we put the dye in there so that it alerts us that there's something not quite right. Yeah, good question though. Yeah. Anyone else?
With the gastric sleeve,
Yep.
what's the chances of your stomach restructuring?
I'm not sure of the statistics of that, but that can definitely happen over time. It would never get back to what it was previously. You've got to remember that, but the stomach does tend to stretch a little. But that's where I talked about the follow-up and things like that. So establishing good behaviours, making sure that the lifestyle modifications that we teach you and coach you on are applied for your long-term maintenance to avoid things like that. But yes, that can potentially occur. If you're continually overeating and stretching it. Yeah.
So the long-term effects are like, you've got 6 months of having the balloon in your tummy, and then 2 years down the line, when you yo-yo diet, you yo-yo. So would you have to have it again?
Well, that's why I guess we wrap a 12-month program around it. Exactly the reason that we do that, because we want to teach you and equip you so that you can maintain the great weight loss that you achieve with something like this. There's nothing to say you can't have it again, definitely. But, you know, ideally, that's why that 6-month post removal of the band is just as crucial as the 6 months having the balloon, as having the 6 months with it in, so that they're equally as important in the whole program. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
The sleeve one, if your stomach did become bigger over time, could you pop the staples?
No. Once the initial healing phase of that occurs, I don't think there's ever been heard of a leak and a long-term leak of the stomach. That popping of the staple or that leak would only occur in the very initial phases, because it would have healed and sealed basically. And so, you know, over time that just becomes part of your body, and it's the clever part about the way our body is designed. So that just becomes your stomach wall, but it's the initial phases that are quite crucial. Yeah. And our surgeon is very specialised, including with revisional. You know, if something were happening like that, he has the skills to be able to cope with those. Any other questions?
There was a question online just in relation to saying that they've heard that sometimes people are quite sick, and is that because they've overeaten, or is it a side effect of the surgery?
What particular procedure are they referring to?
They haven't referred, it's just people who've had these procedures are sometimes quite sick.
Well, I think with any procedure, I mean, let's talk about the surgical side of things. Of course, you have to recover. I mean, it's surgery. Let's not underestimate it. It might be done minimally invasively, but it's still surgery. So there's healing that's got to be done on the inside as well as on the outside. So absolutely, you're going to feel unwell in a way that you've got to recover. Different procedures create, I guess, different reactions. So for instance, the Orbira, yes, you are going to feel quite unwell for the first couple of days because you've got something in your stomach sitting there and your body's got to get used to it. It's like establishing a new equilibrium. And so, yes, you're definitely not going to feel fantastic for the first few days. But that does settle, and obviously we give you medication to manage that and assist with that. Band patients, generally, I don't think a sick feeling is what they would describe, more a feeling of tightness, because obviously there's swelling and everything going on there. So once again, a recovery process goes through. The sleeve patients, they may initially have that nausea, and you've got to remember they're having a general anaesthetic, same as the band, so you can get a reaction of nausea from that.
I was sick for about 5 days.
Yeah, so, you know, everybody is different, and I think that it's important to not underestimate that this is surgery. For those particular two procedures, and that, you know, this is something that your body has to cope with and respond to. Yeah.
I have gastritis problem.
Gastritis?
Gastritis problem. So it's possible that clinidiprazole into me or have a problem in the future with that.
That's something we probably have to talk specifically one-on-one about, and it would need to be considered with the surgeon. Depends on whether it's a long-term problem or a short-term problem, you know, and whether medication controls it, things like that. So, but, you know, happy to talk with you after specifics with that. Yeah, no problem. Anyone else?
Can you hear the saline moving in sometimes?
No.
You know what? I'm going to leave that to people who have had it, because I haven't actually experienced it myself. But, you know, you can hear it now, can't you? But that's because this isn't full, okay? It's obviously been passed around and moved around and over time has evaporated. So it's quite full and quite solid. But I don't believe you hear sloshing, if that's, you know, what you're after. But I'm going to leave that to the people that have actually experienced that, because they're far more qualified to answer that question. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Yeah, we can all touch it later. Is that all right? Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Michelle, you're going to be here at the end of. Michelle will still be here afterwards. So if you've still got further questions for her about the procedures, don't hesitate to approach her later on and discuss anything that you might want to ask or add to that. I think probably there's a key thing here. You know, all of the procedures have they have their merits, and each one is appropriate to. We assess you based on your individual needs, your goals, your expectations, your medical status, your geographic location, for example. Whether or not you're actually going to be suited to a particular procedure depends on so many different things. And that's why having a multidisciplinary team is key in this whole system and in management of any bariatric patient. And the first thing, obviously, is selection of the right procedure for the right person to give you the best potential outcome for your procedure. And I think that that's where we're so fortunate, you know, in terms of where bariatric surgery has come from. And where we started in this business, we started offering only the gastric band about 15 years ago. And that's all we had to offer. And it's still a fabulous device and it fits a certain patient profile. But we're so lucky now that we have the Orbira balloon to offer. And with a lifestyle modification program, it's so effective. And I think, one of the things that Michelle was saying is that the 6 months post removal is so critical, because I think there's a lot of research around behaviour change and what we can do as a team, working with each team member to influence those change and make them as effective as possible at the end of the 12 months. And hopefully, so not just the weight loss at the 6 month point when you have the balloon out, but at the 12 month point when you've been really engaged to working with your team. And that's part of your commitment. When you make that commitment to this procedure, hopefully you're going to make a commitment to yourself to really engage with the team and get the most value out of working with each team member. You might have noticed that Michelle gets pretty excited when she's got guns and tools and devices in her hand, and I think that's sort of part of her role as a clinical research coordinator as well. We're not just a bariatric surgical clinic here, we are also a research centre, and we have been involved in new device technology clinical trials here, and something that we hope to be able to extend our experience in the future, to have that opportunity to offer new procedures to patients requiring something different in the future, which is a very exciting part of the work that we all do here as a team. All right, who am I going to introduce next? Warren, are you ready? So thank you so much for coming. Warren's obviously been held up because of a traffic accident, and really thank him for getting here so he can share with you his what he actually does for you as a psychologist in the team, and the importance and significance of working with our psychologist. Please make Warren welcome. Thank you.
Well, thanks everybody for coming. Look, as a psychologist, I have a number of different roles, and probably the most important and significant is to support you en route to sustainable weight loss. So to do that effectively, I need to see you at least once before surgery. And usually it's a 45-minute to an hour consultation, and during the consultation we talk a little bit about you and your background and family dynamics, relationships, eating patterns, habits, attitudes towards certain foods, both healthy foods and what we consider unhealthy foods, what you consider healthy and unhealthy foods, attitude towards exercise and healthy lifestyles, etc. Basically, what I'm trying to get is a good visual picture of what your life is like and who are the people that are around you and supporting you through this process. And from that, we're able to also strategize a little bit about how we can help you get the best possible results from the procedure you have in mind. My second role as a psychologist is to help you make some of those decisions with regard to the procedure that you're interested in. It's not uncommon for a patient to come and spend some time with me. Once we look at all their behaviours and eating patterns and attitudes, etc., work-life balance and all that, you may find in your case that the procedure you had in mind is possibly not the one you should be going with, and perhaps you should be considering something else. So I'm kind of there to guide you with some of those decisions. So I'll give you some insight into some of the behavioural implications with all the procedures, but balloon, band, sleeve, so that you can make an informed and educated decision as to what's really going to work best for you, and then I'll give you my viewpoint as to what I think will also work best for you. And part of that means we also have to look at what your expectations are. How much weight you want to lose, how long are you prepared to wait to lose that weight, and making sure that your goals match the procedure you have in mind, and that they're realistic and that they're achievable. So all of this is really, really important in helping you make an informed and educated decision regarding the procedure. The process after surgery is I will generally see you at least 3 times after surgery. So I'll see you at 6 weeks after surgery, again at 6 months after surgery, and again at 12 months. And they coincide with really important phases of your post-operative journey. So the 6-week one is the opportunity for us to reconnect at a very early stage on your journey, because we want to make sure that you are reminded and you're well aware of the resources that are available in this clinic to help you, and support you. And that 6-week session is actually a session with a number of other patients. So you'll find that there may be 3 or 4, maybe 4 or 5 patients who have had a similar procedure to you all around the same time as you. So everybody's around that 5 to 7 week mark. So there's a lot of shared understanding and empathy as to what everybody's going through, what they've been through, where they're going. They're all in a very, very similar pathway. So it's a very good opportunity for us to get you and connect with like-minded people. And you find it's a very unbiased environment. It's kind of inspiring to hear other people's stories as well, hear what their goals are. We also, naturally, as you would expect in this sort of environment, we talk a little bit about the achievements up until that point as well. So most people have, by that stage, actually lost some weight as well. And there's this natural comparison going on as well with what's going on in the room, as well as forums and internet groups out there that, you get to make these comparisons with your own weight as to what everybody else's weight loss is like. And it's an opportunity for me to give you some insight as to how you should really be gauging your weight loss. And it certainly shouldn't be in comparison to anybody else. Okay, so those are kind of really good opportunities to reconnect early. And then you'll see the dietitian at 3 months. You'll see me at 6 months. And 6 months, the reason I like to get you into 6 months is kind of coincides for most people with a little bit of a plateau period, because by that stage it is expected that a lot of people do lose quite a significant amount of their excess weight, so they have less excess weight to lose, so it's natural for the body to go through a slowing process. So it's a good opportunity to get you back in again, talk a little bit about where you are, what's changed, what hasn't changed, what we need to work on, what are some of the things we agreed on in the initial stage. And then we do the same thing at 12 months, but 12 months kind of gives us an opportunity to look at what you're doing moving ahead. So, going back to the beginning again and looking at all the reasons and motivations behind your procedure in the first place. And then, of course, looking at 12 months down the track and making sure that the quality of life expectations that you had are kind of surfacing or, coming to fruition. So that if you're not taking the opportunity to improve your quality of life as well, then I need to at least strategize with you again about making those changes, because it is generally expected for most people who come through our clinic and go through this process that there is a significant amount of happiness expected with weight loss. And unfortunately, I hate to tell you this, but it doesn't work like that. So when you get to the end of your weight loss journey, we have to change the expectation. We have to make sure that you're not expecting just happiness to suddenly fall in your lap. We really have to look at, what were those initial motivators. To give you a classic example, one of the sort of common complaints I'll hear from patients when they come and see me is they may have gone to Movie World or Dream World, or one of these theme parks, prior to surgery, and gone with their kids, for example, and found that they couldn't go on any of the rides because they were obviously too large, they were too heavy, they couldn't get in the roller coaster seat, for example. And they come in and they feel that that's kind of been the catalyst for them to say, you know what, I'm missing out on some really good opportunities to spend quality time with my kids. And then I see them through their journey, and I see them 12 months later, maybe 18 months later, and they've lost a whole lot of weight. They certainly are able to go to Movie World or Dream World, and they haven't been back though. So in essence, they haven't really had that experience of what that change has been like, because they are still very much the same person. They're still very much used to having isolated themselves in their environment. And now to try and get them to move away from that and into an environment where they are more outgoing and they actually are taking steps to integrate themselves a little bit more into the community and some of the activities and opportunities that they have with their children. So it doesn't happen by default. You have to work at it. That's my point. Okay. And that's pretty much it. It's very seldom that I ever have the opportunity to turn surgery away to anybody. It does happen from time to time, but maybe 1 in every 300 or 400 patients may not be suitable for surgery. And that would be based on my opinion, having worked with thousands of patients up until this point. I have a very good idea as to what's important as far as timing goes. Timing needs to be right for you. You need to have the right support around you, and I want to know what that support network's like. it may be necessary for us to get the whole family on board, not necessarily all having surgery, but all following a very similar pattern and all agreeing to a similar lifestyle and attitude and behavioral approach to eating and changes to those eating patterns within the household, because that's going to help you and it's going to help the people around you as well. Okay, and that's pretty much it. It covers my role as a psychologist. Anybody got any questions? No? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, it's often the case that people don't have questions for Warren in this kind of environment, but I can absolutely guarantee you that the opportunity to work with the psychologist team members is so valuable, and you can actually have that opportunity to connect pretty much as frequently as you choose. And when you do go through that initial consultation process, generally what will happen is that you'll make that choice in terms of if you're someone who's going to actually get a lot of more benefit from having frequent visits, then that's something you need to think about as well. And it doesn't also have to be face-to-face either, by the way. So for all of our distance patients, we offer phone, Skype, and other forms of communication. So when you can't always get here for all of your visits to be in the clinic, then we do still offer that so that you're still connected. And that's one of the key things that I would really stress, is that remaining connected to the team. Whether, for the good moments and the moments that you are having challenges, that's the benefit and the value of having, so a vast and multidisciplinary team to address each and every area that you need addressed at any given time. So yeah, really important to think about. All right. We also love to get involved in encouraging patients to get a bit more active and to get into exercise, and that's something that often that will be introduced to you. Yeah, I'm putting your name down for the running group. I saw that. So it's actually quite interesting that when we, for a lot of people, that might be the goal. If they've never done something like, been a jogger, that through having the Orbira balloon or through having a gastric band or sleeve gastrectomy, that might be one of their goals and intentions, that they would actually really like to be more mobile and active and achieve something. I've actually seen a patient not that long ago who presented here in front of us, maybe 3 months ago, and he was 12 months post-gastric sleeve. He'd lost, I think, over 60 kilos. He'd had a body contour procedure specifically for his thighs because he was a cyclist, and found that the thighs was a big issue for him with excess skin. And when he came to present at the seminar, he'd completed 100 Ks on his bike for an MS charity fundraising bike event. And, to see that kind of outcome and achievement in someone who 12 months earlier would never have dreamt of it is such a rewarding thing to see. So as a clinic, we love to also not just encourage you and to share those moments of joy when you do get to those points of being able to participate actively in events of that nature, but we also do like to get involved in sponsored running groups. We've done team triathlons with patients before. So you'd really be surprised at some of the achievements that we see patients actually, succeed through beyond weight loss surgery and where it takes them to. And it's really exciting to see those things take place. All right, next I think I'm going to introduce you to Bonnie. So we have 2 amazing dietitians who will also assist and guide you through how each of the procedures works in relation to food. Please make Bonnie welcome, and she'll give you a bit of an intro.
Well, first of all, I have to apologise that Peter's not here because he normally has a good joke to start off, so he's sort of a funny one. But yeah, I guess I just wanted to ask you guys, who's had a look, sort of done their own research around the surgery and diet around the surgery? Has anyone gone on the internet and different sorts of things? Yeah, sort of blogs and Google. And yeah, so absolutely. There's a lot out there, okay, and as you've probably seen, a lot of different sort of mixed opinions about what you should do. And I think the great thing about coming here to sort of Weight Loss Solutions Australia is really knowing that you're doing the right thing around your surgery. Okay, so we're sort of trained and know sort of the protocols and this sort of to make sure that you're safe. Your surgery is carried out as smooth as possible and as safe as possible. So Peter and I actually had the great opportunity of going to a workshop not long ago. about bariatric surgery, and we talked to a fair few other dietitians there, and we actually found that there's no other organisation that's really like this one and has an in-house dietitian, psychologist, nurse, constant support staff there, and we just sort of realised how lucky we are to work with this organisation, and you know how lucky the patients are really to have those resources here sort of in-house. So talking about sort of on the subject of research and things, you know, there's so much research that's been done that has shown that in the long term, you know, dieting compared to the weight loss surgery, the surgery absolutely in the long term, the results are just phenomenal. So much better. Basically, has everyone who's been on a diet here, I guess is it? Yep, 2 hands up. Yeah, absolutely. And have you guys sort of found that, you know, you may have lost the weight initially and perhaps put it back on and even a bit more is usually the sort of standard scenario. So, you know, with the weight loss surgeries, absolutely sort of it does the hard work for you in terms of that portion control, and that's really the key to weight loss. So, you know, often you may be not necessarily eating the wrong things. It may be the time of the day that you're eating, and particularly the portion sizes, okay? So, you know, with the surgery, you just won't be able to have those big portion sizes, okay? And we talk about that, you know, Warren and Kerry, the psychologists, about, you know, the emotional sort of relationships and things around food and, sort of understanding that. So that's so important. And in terms of the dietetic follow-up, you know, we sort of follow you through in the 12-month package. You can come back as much as you want. So we do have sort of the set times, you know, after your surgery, sort of 10 days, and then 6 weeks, and then 6 months and 12 months down the track. But if you want to come back, you know, every month for that support, and Peter and I do see people sort of once a month or once every 2 months, that's absolutely fine. You know, it's sort of like having an extra person there as support as well, because, you know, you may not want to sort of tell too many people that you're having the surgery. You may want to, or you may not. And, you know, that's what we're here to listen to any questions that you have or certain issues that may arise, and be there to give you not only the right advice and guidance, but that support as well. That's really key. Okay, so as I said, yeah, definitely research has shown as well that follow-up really sees the optimal results. So people having a surgery without any follow-up and sort of trying to do it on their own, compared to people who do have that long-term follow-up with the psychologist and dietitian, there's really no comparison. In terms of that as well, because you can't have the same portion sizes, so, you know, smaller, more regular meals is sort of the key to weight loss. We need to make sure that what you are eating is really sort of nutrient dense, okay? That you're sort of eating, you know, from your different 5 food groups and meeting your requirements and certain nutrients per day. So basically, you know, having the surgery, having less food, you may be at risk if you don't have the follow-up of things such as, you know, whether it's a bit of iron deficiency, zinc, or protein, whatever it may be. And we want to make sure that you're basically getting a good balanced diet and covering those different groups. And we actually do blood tests. We make sure you have a blood test before your surgery to make sure that everything's sort of okay there. And if we need to basically bring some supplementation in for certain things beforehand. But what we actually do is basically include a multivitamin in the plan. So you start that with your pre-surgery diet, and I'll explain those phases in a moment, and you actually carry that supplementation through. So your multivitamin, just to make sure that those certain things, as we talked about, in terms of whatever sort of mineral or vitamin it may be, sort of covers you. So in terms of the diet, basically what do you have to do around the surgeries? So the balloon is sort of a cut down version of the band and the sleeve. So obviously it's a non-surgical procedure, so it's a little bit of a scaled down version, I guess, pre and post. So basically with the band and the sleeve, we put you on a 2-week pre-surgery diet, basically generally sort of a shake diet with some sort of certain fruits and vegetables, okay? With excess weight, you can often see an enlarged or inflamed sort of liver, because, yeah, we want to the liver sort of sits over the stomach. We want to decrease the size of the liver to allow the surgeon ease of access to the stomach. So it's just to make sure that the operation runs smoothly. Post-surgery, we basically don't want you to jump straight back and start eating, jump into a steak or anything by any means in the first week. People have asked me that before. We sort of put you on 2-week fluid, onto pureed or a baby food texture, onto a soft texture, and then transition you onto your full diet in your 6th week. Okay, so it's a bit of a process there, and we follow you up 10 days after your surgery. Make sure when you're on that fluid diet, you're tolerating that okay, and then we follow you up 6 weeks post when you're on your full diet. Basically, to make sure everything's okay. But if you want to give us a call in the meantime, absolutely. We're really easily contactable via phone or email. Peter and I are in here, 3 days a week. So I think that's the other thing. If you do have any questions, if you're sort of not having that follow-up, who do you kind of ask? It's super hard. So knowing that you're getting the right advice. So with the balloon, it's a little bit different. So it's sort of a day of basically just fluids, not eating or drinking on the day of your procedure. And then afterwards, it's basically sort of a 2-week process of that fluid, pureed, soft, and then onto your full diet. So does that sort of make sense with that transitioning onto your full diet, I guess? And once you're on that final stage, sort of your full diet, it's basically a healthy, balanced diet, as we said, making sure that you get that balanced intake of your different food groups and your nutrients, and we'll guide you on that and, educate you about really sort of healthy, smart food choices. And that, I think, is the key, really, education. So, at the end of your follow-up, and as I said, your follow-up can go for as long as you want and as often as you want. We really want you to know what sort of different options of food are, what are protein sources and carbohydrate sources, and just really giving you that education and advice so you can make those healthy decisions for yourself. And absolutely, I think, you've done so many diets and they're hard, they're really hard, okay? And as I said, they generally don't work in the long term. So this is about making a great positive lifestyle change that you can implement for the rest of your life. Yes?
Everyone does a diet and then does another diet, and no diet's ever going to work.
Yeah.
What's the difference of having the balloon or the band sponge?
Yeah.
Because in 6 months' time, I'm going to feel hungry again.
Yeah. So
then I've got to re-educate my own head.
Basically, you're talking about the band or the balloon? Which one? Yeah. So with the band and the sleeve, basically that is, in there we see this sort of a permanent thing that you won't feel hungry in the same way that you used to. You won't afterwards. So
6 months when they take it out.
When the balloon's out. So
we just want to shove it all in to fill that spot.
Basically the balloon, so 6 months of having that in there and, really educating you on the portion size. You'll basically be forced to have those, but you'll be forced to have those small portion sizes. So you won't physically be able to eat the large portion sizes. So, a lot of patients say afterwards they have that mentality like they still have the balloon in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's very different. It's not really mentally challenging. Going on a diet, a restricted diet, it is very hard. You have to mentally stop yourself from eating that excess food or those big amounts. You won't physically be able to in that 6 months, and you'll find that will really get you into that sort of those healthy kind of lifestyle basically choices. So it's very, very different because it sort of forces you into those new habits. And when it's taken out, it's just a different mentality really. And it will kickstart, and basically 10 to 15 kilos is what we ideally want to see with the balloon. But I think, mentally is really the key there. And, as well, doing diets is sort of all on your own. Basically, that's why the follow-up is so important with the balloon as well, with the psychologist and the dietitian, and I'm sort of getting to the root cause, as I said, sort of the emotional attachment to food, finding out perhaps why you may be eating certain foods or, certain junk foods or big portion sizes, and, sort of increasing your mindfulness of when you're eating. So learning to slow down, enjoy your food, realizing, okay, now I realize I sit down in front of the TV and I eat, massive amounts. Sort of we help you identify sort of trouble spots in the day or whatever it may be. So it really is just so much different to any diet you've ever done, basically, with the balloon. And in terms of the band and the sleeve, as I said, you can't physically have those portion sizes. You won't be able to, and you'll have the small amount and you'll feel satisfied, basically, because you don't have the space in your stomach that you used to. And you learn your limitations pretty quickly as well. So some people say they go to dish up the same amount as they used to, and it's just way too much. And if you do sort of overdo it a little bit, and you find that bit of discomfort, as I said, you learn pretty quickly not to do that. So yeah.
What happens if you overeat?
Yeah, if you overeat, so that's when you're going to get things like discomfort, sort of bloating, whether it's a little bit of, sort of little bit of vomiting or a bit of regurgitation or whatever it may be, a bit of nausea and things like that. So depending on the person, sort of a few different side effects and symptoms, but yeah, absolutely. As I said, you'll learn pretty quickly what your sort of, what your limitations are and just what an appropriate serving of food looks like. And we're actually working at the moment, which is really exciting, on a plate through Weight Loss Solutions Australia. We've got we run a different sort of brand of plate at the moment, which shows you what an appropriate what appropriate portion sizes look like on a plate. So basically we sell that through here, and it's got sort of your carbohydrate portion, your protein and your veggies on the plate, how much would be appropriate. We're actually developing our own at the moment. So yeah, which will be really great having that available. And it's got really positive sort of phrases on it as well. So, you can sit there and learn how much you should be putting on your plate. And as I said, that just becomes a habit. So yeah, in the end, it's just it won't, as I said, it's not a diet in the end. It's just portion control and really making sure what you put into your body is good, nutritious food. And yeah, seeing those weight loss results is really absolutely, it's amazing. It's amazing some of the things that we see, the people who walk through these doors and seeing them sort of 12 months down the track, and it's like seeing a different person. So it's very, very rewarding. Yeah, yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So any other questions? Probably. Questions about anything to do with the diet, around surgery, or I'll be here at the end as well if you want to ask anything in person or whatever it may be.
Thank you, Bonnie.
No worries.
We did the first 50 of the Orbera intragastric balloon procedures in this clinic in 2010 and presented research in relation to those first 50 Orbera balloons at the Obesity Surgical Society meeting of Australia and New Zealand. And pretty much our results there, just to give you an indication, because I know we focused a lot on the balloon tonight for people who are interested in it, but they were identical to the results worldwide in terms of expected weight loss and long-term outcomes. I mean, we've seen patients here who've gone on to continue losing weight after they've had their balloon out. And that's all about developing those behaviours and learning those behaviours and working with the team. So the effectiveness is a lot to do with the commitment that you put into yourself to get that result so that you never have to think about a diet again, and working with the team. And that applies to any of the procedures. Any bariatric surgical procedure acts on satiety. It's designed so that you actually feel full. So straight away, the struggle with hunger is taken away from you. So that's one of the first things that you're going to notice that is different. So research obviously is something that we're interested in, and we love to present all sorts of different things. And Carol, who's going to talk to you in just a moment, was involved in presenting some research back in around about 2003.
Yeah, 4 or 5. Yeah,
around about early 2000s. And the research that she was involved in presenting was all about, does follow-up attendance equate to better long-term surgical outcomes? And the most important and totally unequivocal response to that is yes, it does make a huge difference. So really important, and it's not just about the results that you get at 12 months, it's about what we want to see for you as long-term outcomes is where you need to be at 2 years, 5 years and 10 years. And that's why we do stress the engagement with working with a team, and because we know what those benefits are going to be. So That was pretty groundbreaking research when Carol was involved with that research in those days with a dietitian. It was the first of that research presented in the world, presented in Boston at a surgical conference, an international one, and it's since been taken up and followed through and presented in a number of different journals. So world first research presented here. Tonight, Carol's actually got a slightly different role for you, and she's going to actually just, it's not often that she gets to do this, but tonight she's actually going to put on her patient hat and share with you her experience of having had the Orbira balloon. Please make her welcome.
Thank you, Anthony. So questions up the back, I notice, are all about the balloon or mostly about the balloon. So anybody else who's interested, this is just my story, but just, you know, remember that everybody's individual. And as Michelle said when she was talking, you know, we've had patients that have lost anywhere between 10 kilos and almost 30 kilos with one lady, and that was a real exception, but what a great story. So my story, personally, was just feeling stodgy, quite overweight, not able to move as quickly and as well as what I wanted to. I had a grandson, well, I have a grandson now, but he was due to be born not long after I'd had this procedure, and I just felt like I wouldn't be able to move as well as what I could or what I should be able to. I had a problem that was diagnosed with my heart, so that my heart rate was irregular, and that actually gave me a little bit of a scare. And I'm not on any medication, I don't need to be, but it gave me a bit more of a scare about looking after my health. And actually, because I sit down all the time, it was about getting up and starting to move around again, you know. And as a younger person, I was always pretty fit and active. So a lot of people here in this clinic run, and I thought, oh, I want to run one day. And so, you know, a lot of that was my catalyst for actually having this procedure done. So I had the procedure, and within the 6 months of having the balloon, I lost 10 kilos. And during that time, I actually learned how to run. And that's not the only thing, but I did learn how to run, and I participated in one of those events that they're talking about, you know, the 5-kilometre group event that we did just as a bit of a fun thing. And I couldn't even run from here to the end of the room without being breathless, but, you know, now I can. And some of the questions that I heard you asking before about feeling sick and what would happen, you know, if you ate too much or those sort of things, let me tell you that the feeling that you get when you overeat, and often it's not, you stop yourself before you do, but the feeling that you get when you overeat is actually just quite more uncomfortable than anything else. It's different to what I believe happens with a band or a sleeve, but you really feel uncomfortable, like you just don't want to eat anything for another 12 hours. It's quite uncomfortable. I was only ever sick once during the time that I had the balloon, and that was after that acute phase. And that was because I ate something that really just didn't sit well with me, and that was pasta. It just didn't sit well, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed it going down. I certainly didn't enjoy it a little bit later. But other than that, I wasn't sick at all after those first couple of days after having the balloon inserted. So it was really a very easy thing for me to have. You don't feel it in your stomach as far as the sloshing around goes or anything like that. And the only thing that I couldn't do was lay flat on my stomach. Not a stomach sleeper in any case, but I had to see a chiropractor at one stage, and I laid flat on my stomach, and he dropped the table, and I was, no, don't do that again. It just made me feel uncomfortable. And the actual recovery after having the balloon in and also after having it out was really quite okay for me. I had about a week off work, and that was mainly just because I was feeling a bit weary after having that local sedation. But otherwise, I was pretty good. I had 2 days of nausea and a little bit of vomiting, organised a baby shower for my daughter-in-law, you know, within 3 or 4 days after having the procedure. So I was okay.
And how long have you had it out for?
I've had it out now for over 6 months.
And is your eating the same as what it was when you had it in?
No, it is a little bit different. But it's funny how, like Bonnie was saying, you're a little bit more aware. And let's face it, working here, I'm already aware, but different for me being more aware about what I'm actually putting into my mouth and the amount that's on my plate. You know, it really is. I just usually now dish up on a smaller plate. But I'm really aware. And even if I, you know, fluctuate up and down a couple of kilos, I'm still aware and I'm able to sort of get it off a little bit more easily as well. So for me personally, it's been a really good procedure. Getting it out, as I said, wasn't a problem. I was back at work the next day. It was, you know, just a little nice sleep really to have it out. And as Polly said also, after you have it out, you actually don't feel, you almost feel like you've still got it in for about a week. And then you just feel like, no, your body changes. You're used to not eating as much in any case. And so that's how it just changes. But yeah.
With most of the people that have had that surgery done, most of them feel the same after they've had it out. They still feel full and they don't feel like they want to go back and, you know, shove a heap in their gob. Yeah,
everybody that I've spoken to is yes. And I suppose the other thing is that when you're actually paying for a procedure to have, and then when you have it out, you certainly don't want to go putting more food back into your mouth as quickly as what you're used to, because, you know, you want to make sure that that's going to continue on. And you're enjoying the benefits that you've had by actually losing that weight. You feel good, you know, and you're really enjoying feeling that way. You just sort of don't want to go back to the way you were before. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions for me other than that on a, just to be able to explain to you what it's like?
Is there any foods now that you cannot eat?
Now?
Yeah.
No, I can eat anything I like really. And certainly I can. I could eat anything I wanted to. But with the balloon in, the only thing that I didn't tolerate very well was the pasta. Beg pardon?
Just pasta.
Yeah, that was the only thing that I just didn't tolerate well. So I chose not to.
Say if you went out and had a steak, you could eat half the steak. Did that not?
Yeah, I did go out for dinner a few times while I had the balloon in, and I was selective what I had, but I found that I didn't have big meals. Like I wouldn't have gone to a smorgasbord or something like that. I just, you know, just wouldn't have done it, wouldn't have got it in. But yeah, I was a little bit more selective, and I might have not had, I might have just chosen maybe one main meal without the fries, or knowing that I'd have something that's beneficial rather than having something that was filling up on stodge that wasn't really going to do me any good.
And then my next question would be alcohol.
Yes.
Can you drink it?
Look, with any of the procedures, quite honestly, yes, you can. You know, it's not a drama drinking alcohol. I don't drink alcohol, so it's a bit hard for me to ask. But you can have alcohol if you wish. What you just have to remember with the alcohol is that they're liquid calories, and that if you have too much alcohol, like with anything else, when I used to drink, I'd have alcohol and then I'd have to have cheese and biscuits with it, and I'd have to have maybe some other savoury little things that would go with it, and that's a bit of a downfall for me. So yeah, there's nothing to stop you from having alcohol at all, but it will fill you with those calories that probably aren't as nutritious and yet higher in calorie. So it's certainly something that you probably want to consider. Look, you know, a night out's not going to hurt, or you know, some wine with dinner or something like that, but overindulging is probably not the idea. Anything else? No. Well, thank you for listening, and if you've got any questions, please come and see me after.
Thank you. Thank you, Carol. All right. I think we're going to stick with our staff team presenters first and then save the best for last. I'd like to just welcome 2 new people who've joined us online. So thank you very much. You've joined at a perfect moment, because we have all of our patient presenters at the moment discussing their own personal experience of bariatric surgery. I should also mention that we do have a strong presence as far as social media and Facebook. For those of you who do like Facebook, it's a really great way to connect with other people from our centre and other patients generally who love to sort of, you know, talk about their own personal experiences, ask questions. It's a great forum for that as well. We have a patient also who runs our Instagram page, so please have a look at that when you have a moment. On Facebook, we have every Wednesday a post that I love. It's my favourite post of the week, and it's called our Wonderful Weight Loss Wednesday post. And the reason I love that is because it's an opportunity to celebrate every week the results of one of our patients at various stages throughout their surgery. It might be at just 6 weeks post-operatively, or it could be 12 months. and just to celebrate their results. And tomorrow, stay tuned on our Facebook page because I think Melanie's got something really special to share with you. So tonight I'd actually like Melanie to share with you her personal journey of bariatric surgery. Please make her welcome.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to hand that out to start with. I sometimes forget that. That was me. 4 and a bit years ago, I came to a seminar myself, just like you. So congratulations. I know this is sort of the hardest bit to do. My auntie was coming to a seminar and she asked me to come with her in case she got lost because I think she had too many manners to say that I could certainly do with it as well. So I think I'd heard all the horror stories about weight loss surgeries. I'd seen Dr. Phil, the man had to get cut out of his house and he had weight loss surgery, and I'm like, oh, it's for those people. Or you see some horror story in a current affair of a woman who can only eat chicken wings or that type of thing. So I'd heard all that, but I didn't know the real aspect of what it was about. So I came with her. She was all convinced she was having a lap band, and I sat there and pretty much fought my way past her to get to the counter at the end, and I was like, sign me up, that's it. Because I'd done all the diets, probably like most of you, which is really annoying when they tell someone who's overweight to go on a diet. You think you must be kidding, like you don't think I've done 55 diets. So it's the all carbs and the no carbs and the all protein and the no protein and the shakes and the soups and the Jenny Craig and the Charlotte Slim. So we've all done them. We could all diet. The problem is you lose a little bit of weight and then it comes back and it brings a few friends. So if you lose 5 kilos, you put back 7. If you lose 20, you put back 30. That was the problem. So it's not that I can't diet. I can certainly diet because I've been dieting since I was 17 years old and I'm now in my 40s. But I just can't do it for the rest of my life. Yeah, I lost lots of weight on the pineapple diet. That was a beauty. That one where you just eat pineapple morning from morning till you go to bed. But I think I lost 5 kilos in 2 weeks. It was fantastic. But I can't just eat pineapple for the rest of my life. So that's again the problem. I came to a seminar and I went, oh my God, that's it. That's for me. So at the time I think I was one of those bit of a denying eater or deny what I eat. I was a beauty therapist. I had 2 children, not that I don't have 2 children still, and a husband. He had his own business, so we're really busy people. So I wouldn't have much to eat in the morning. I'd sometimes have a snack taking the kids to school, and I pretty much didn't eat at work because we were so busy, or it was, throw down a few hot chips or something, and that was it. So when I'd leave work about 3 o'clock until I shut my eyes at night, I didn't stop eating. And I justified it because I didn't eat all day, so I can have a snack. And I've only just had a snack, so I can have something decent to eat. And while I was cooking, I can have something to eat because I haven't eaten all day. So, but I also wasn't looking at what I was eating. So when I'd leave work, I'd normally go through the drive-through of Zarraffa's, which was the worst thing they ever put in, near where I used to work. And I'd get the largest drink they had, which was a grande, and I used to have a white chocolate mocha. So that's full cream milk, plus syrup, plus cream on the top, plus sprinkles, and a bit of syrup. And I liked coffee, sugar in my coffee. Because it was a big one, I would have 3. Excuse me. I would have one of those nearly every day. That's probably equivalent now to how many calories I would have in 3 days. And that was just a drink, so I didn't count that. And sometimes as I was in the drive-thru, I may as well go through the other drive-thru. Doesn't count. And then same with if you eat in the car. That didn't count either. So then if I go through the drive-thru next door to Macca's, I'd get a cheeseburger because I would just needed a snack. So I'd have the cheeseburger with coffee while I was picking up the kids, and then I'd get home. And I hadn't eaten all day in my mind, so I'd have something to eat. And I'd make dinner. While I was making dinner, I'd taste everything because I didn't want to serve people up something that didn't taste good. I would eat equivalent to now what is my meal. So what I was just snacking on to see if it was okay is now equivalent to my whole meal.
God, you sound like you should have been bigger than
So
that.
I was 120 kilos, so pretty big. That's it. But it didn't, in my mind, it's like, oh, I don't eat that much, or I don't eat all day, or I just have a little bit here, and my portions got bigger and bigger. But it was all for me, it was all the denying eating. Like when I'd cook, if we were having chops, I'd always cook that extra one, so I knew I had to taste one before I dished it up. Whereas now, one chop is my whole protein portion on my plate. So that was a bit of a snack. And whoever left anything on their plate, it was like mine. I was a seagull. So there was I would never force my children to finish what was on their plate. I thought, I don't want you to be fat like me. And secondly, I wanted to eat it. So if anyone left anything, I ate it. I was a horrible, horrible gut. I was always hungry. I just never felt satisfied. I'd finish a meal and go, that was really good. But what do I want now? 10 minutes later, I'd go, oh, I think I need something sweet. So I'd have some, some ice cream. No, I think it's something crunchy. Have some chips. It's definitely chocolate, then I'd have chocolate. And
about no, nuts. I think it was nuts. I would feel that sick and I'm like, okay, I'm full now. It wasn't until I felt sick did I realise, did I say to myself, I was full. I never knew the real meaning of full. And I think that's the difference with these procedures. I just feel like I did not have a handbrake. I just couldn't pull myself up and stop when I needed to. I just say now, it's like, I've got a handbrake. It pulls me up for that bit of my brain that doesn't tell me when to stop. It does. If I feel like a chocolate biscuit now, I will have one Tim Tam. Whereas once upon a time it used to be one packet. I never understood when you turn over and see the little calorie count on the back, and it was calories per serve and calories per packet. I was like, isn't a packet a serve? Why would you just put that? Who doesn't have a whole packet? So I didn't get that. So the thing is now I can still have whatever I want. I've just got the handbrake that pulls me up and says that's enough. And I'm satisfied. So I'm not constantly looking for something to fill that gap, something crunchy, something sweet, something chocolatey, something savoury. I just feel like that gap is filled. When I feel like something now, it might be something savoury. I really feel like chips and dip. I will have 2 jats with a bit of dip and that's it. Whereas once it was the whole packet. Then it normally wasn't chips and dip and then I'd go and have chocolate anyway. But so that was sort of my pattern of eating. It was so erratic and I just never felt satisfied, and only when I felt sick did I feel full. I decided to have the band behind me. Main reason was I'm an absolute control freak and I was like, I'm not having that sleep, you're not telling me what I can and can't eat. So I thought I'm going to have the band. My auntie was having the band. Here we go, banding buddy type thing. I can have it loosened when I want, I can have it tightened when I want, and I can still be in control, and I might just decide that I prefer to be overweight and I want this thing out. I was just not prepared to commit to the sleeve. So that is my main reason for having the band. It just sort of suited my lifestyle at the time, and I was really scared about breaking up with food. I thought, I might really, really miss food. Everything revolves around food, and again, I like drink, so I thought, I have no friends. No one will invite me out anymore. I was really worried about those little things. Now I'm back and think how ridiculous, but I was really worried about socially drinking and eating, and thought, well, what am I going to do? As we all know, you catch up with friends, and you're sad, and come over and have cake, and you're happy, I'll have some cake, and it all revolves around food, so, and drink as well. So that was sort of why I decided on the band, because I just was still too scared to commit to the sleep. Anyway, I had the band and time went on and I'd lost about 25 kilos, plodding along greatly, no huge issues, and I got really ill, got a horrible bug, more than just a normal tummy bug, too much inflammation, violently ill, vomited my heart out, ended up with a slight slip of my band. So by this stage I was working here, and it really just could have been fixed as a day procedure, just have my band repositioned, but I was just loving life so much by that stage. I'm like, oh no, give me that. So I'll have a sleeve, thank you. Oh, I want this forever. And I think that proved to me, people said, oh, you've lost some weight now, why don't you have it out? Or are you going to live with that forever? A lady actually asked online, she said, how long is the band meant to stay in there for? I said, definitely forever. And I proved that to myself. I had the band for 2 years and I had to have it out for 6 weeks in between having your band out in your sleeve. 8 weeks. In that 8 weeks, I put on 9 kilos.
What?
It just showed that my brain still, even though I tell other people what to do now, and I worked here then, and I was living with the band, loving the band, it just showed that my body is just not, I'm not built that way. It just didn't know when to stop again. I was back to eating huge portions. I was always hungry. I'd finish dinner. I'm like, oh, what do I want now? I was really genuinely hungry. So I felt genuinely hungry. I didn't feel satisfied after food. And damn Woolworths were bringing in hot cross buns in December, because that's when I had my band out and I was like, hot cross buns, and went to town. So little things that I'd normally be happy with a little portion, or I feel like a hot cross bun, I'd have a quarter of one. I was having like 2 and 3. So that proved to me, I was very, very confident then having the sleeve and went, yeah, that's it. That's definitely what I want, something full time. I don't want them taking it away. If anyone said to me they'd have to pull my stomach back and get rid of that sleeve, there'd be a fight on. So I'm just not programmed that way. So since the sleeve, obviously I lost what I put back on and more again. So that was about 3 years ago now. And the main difference between the two, I thought they were all much of a muchness. They make your stomach smaller and you can't eat as much. I'm going to get graphic now, and if you don't like to hear about vomit, I suggest you get out your phone. So what happens with the band when you overeat? The band is a little more forgiving than the sleeve. If you overeat with the band, you will pretty much bring back up what you've just eaten in a nice big glob of saliva. So that's it's not like vomit where you are violently ill and you feel horrible or you're nauseous. It's not like that at all. It's really what you've just overeaten and a bit of saliva. With the sleeve, if you overeat, not quite so forgiving. You can just sort of head off on your day with the band if I ever did overeat or something got stuck or I ate the wrong thing. I excuse myself, off to the bathroom, come back, done. Whereas with the sleeve, you probably agree with, you feel sick for hours. So it's not as forgiving. You don't, you're not sick as much with the sleeve. It's not as easy to bring up. It's pretty easy to bring up food with a band. It's not with the sleeve and it's not quite as forgiving. So that's the difference there. Food choices are different. You can eat pretty much anything with a sleeve. I choose not to eat certain things because I don't like them. They don't agree with me anymore, such as milky or creamy products are just off for me. You all heard about the coffee I used to have. Now I have a soy cappuccino with a bit of extra water. That's it. So that's it. Nothing like that. Nothing creamy. I only thought pasta came in cream sauce. I didn't even think it came in a tomato sauce. Well, it has to only come in cream sauce. I could no sooner eat that now. Nothing creamy. So those foods just don't agree with me. Same with fried food. All I can taste in fried food now is the oil. So I don't like fried food at all. So that's just a choice. I choose not to have fried food. I used to love that. I love some hot chips. Whereas when you can only have a small portion and you have to chew your food to get it through. So you really have to slow down your eating and chew your food a lot. So if you chew up a hot chip for a long time, it actually just tastes like soggy potato in the end. So it's not as fun as it used to be. I'm like, if it's not fun, I'm not getting anything out of it, why have the calories? So you just tend to choose different foods. With the band, I used to have issues with bread, which is a common one with people with a band, which is not a bad thing. Bread's not good for us. So I would go for pita bread or Cruskits or that type of thing. So you can still have bread alternatives, or you can have a piece of toast crucified if I really felt like, a piece of raisin toast. I would just really cook it quite well. So you can have it like that. But anything really doughy and heavy, like scones and breads and focaccias and things like that, they just really clog you up. So it will be 2 mouthfuls and you'll be done. So you just tend to avoid things like that. Same with really dry food, like chicken breast or steak. People say you can eat meat with a band. Yes, you can, but you really have to avoid those really dry foods. If you like steak, you just can't have it burnt. You really do need to have it a bit pink. So you can definitely still have that. Same with the chicken. Don't go for the dry breast, go for the thigh. So you can still have meat, but just don't go for that dry meat. It's just a little hard. And again, when you chew it for a long time, it sort of loses its pizzazz. It's not as fun anymore. So things like that are just a little bit hard to get down. So you've got slight food choice difference with them as well. I also find I have to eat a little more with the sleeve. When I had the band, I worked in a beauty salon, and as I said, I wouldn't eat all day. Whereas if I don't eat with the sleeve, I tend to feel a bit sick and I get a bit gassy. So I do have to have little snacks. So girls always say they know where I've been because there's always a trail of Ziploc bags. I have them in my car and in my desk and out the back and upstairs and downstairs because I always have to have little snacks everywhere. So they've got nuts, or they've got a third of a muesli bar, or a bit of a couple of protein balls, or whatever it is sort of that I'm having at the time.
So you still
little
losing
snacks.
weight though?
No, it's been a few years for me. I've sort of steadied out now. So
But could you like say, right, I'm going back on a diet, I'm going to start losing a little bit more weight again?
yeah, if you want to, definitely.
Or have a little bit more cut out again?
No. No, that's pretty much the size now. When someone asked about it stretching back, I asked the surgeon that as well, and he got out an elastic band at the time and pulled it out and cut off a piece of it, and he held it out. He said, so we've taken your stomach from that to that. I was like, yeah, okay. He said, I can still stretch this bit of band. I said, yeah. He said, but I can't stretch it back to what it used to be. Oh, okay. So yes, there is some slack there and it can stretch, but it can never go back to what it used to be. So I feel that I can definitely eat more now than when I first had it done, but I've leveled out now. I still can't eat probably half of what I used to eat. Definitely not. If I go on
But
a
you've
binge.
still got to go back on a calorie controlled diet now.
No.
If you wanted to lose more weight now.
Yeah, for me, it's more alcohol is a thing for me. I know when I drink more, I tend not to lose, and I put on and exercise as well. Food pretty much takes care of itself now. Food, it's not.
You're saying you're alcoholic.
Close.
I'm teasing you.
Yeah, like well, I do. Yeah, when I drink more at Christmas, I always put on 1 or 2 kilos. But as soon as I stop, I don't go on a diet after Christmas. I just stop that, and it tends to come off on its own.
So it does. It
Yeah.
comes off anyway.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
at a stable weight.
very much so. It's really easy to maintain. I think that's been the difference with this as opposed to other diets. It's not a diet to start with. It's really easy to maintain. Really, really easy to maintain. It's not, I don't think about too much what I am or aren't eating, or if I eat that, will I have to run 5 blocks or, sorry, Dad.
Oh, yeah, no, well, there's just a question from Wendy online and saying, are you happy where your weight is now, and is that why you're not trying to lose weight?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I probably would like to lose another 5 or 6 kilos, but from being 120 to where I am now, I've lost 50 kilos. So I'm sort of pretty happy where I am now.
Awesome.
I don't feel like I'm not a small build person.
Yeah.
I'm just really happy with it. No, I don't think I'm ever going to be that tiny build person. I'm not that build. So from being 120 kilos and a size 22 to normally about a size 12, and sort of I range between 68 and 72 depending on how much exercise I'm doing and what time of year it is, that type of thing. I actually find that just really easy to maintain. So yes, I could definitely lose a bit more. I'd probably have to put in a bit more hard work to do that. And
have your family, like, have they lost weight or have they benefited?
Well, 3 of my family have had done. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so yeah, 3 people in my family have all had weight loss surgery. We're a big family. We celebrate around food. All our social events are around food. Food and drink is everything in our family.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we all have, and it hasn't changed the way we socialise at all. We just realised what horrible guts we were, especially the last few Christmases when we've worked out what everyone brings a dish, and we look at our table as opposed to what it used to be, and the smaller portions, and we don't make things to the extravagant proportions that we used to. Everyone had to have their plate absolutely overfilling, and then you had to go back and have a bit more. And we've realised now that that's actually really unhealthy, and it's teaching all of our children bad habits as well. So yeah, it's definitely made a difference to my children. I've got a thin one and a more full child. Fluffy, as I call him. He's just a bit more fluffy than the other one. So I think he's going to be like me, and I'm going to have to watch what he eats. So I just never talk about diet or things like that. It's just healthy foods we talk about with him, which wasn't to us when we were young. It was finish what's on your plate, and then I'll reward you for eating all of that, and I'll give you dessert. So we made them eat more than they wanted, and then we rewarded them by shoving sugar down their throat. So that's not something I want to teach my children. I want to teach them healthier ways, and they saw me struggle with my weight for so long. So I think I need to teach them, a healthier lesson and a healthier way as well. So any questions?
Have you had a lot of trouble with like your skin going back?
Yeah, I think that has to do with age as well. I had some plastic surgery as well. So yes, I have someone was asking online, can I ask what plastic surgery you've had? Oh, sure. So yeah, I have had a tummy tuck, and I have my breasts reduced and lifted. So, but again, I'm in my 40s, so
Yeah, I want
it
those
depends.
too.
So, yeah. So yeah, so
How long after
Oh,
the
actually,
sleeve was it?
nearly So it was
When
sort
you
of
had the
when I started with my weight loss surgery to when I had the plastics was 4 years, and it's been a year since I had my plastic surgery. So yeah, so I well and truly lost it, and it was even at the point someone said, "Oh, a lady was talking online. She said, I'm really worried about the skin. What happens with the skin?" And I was the same, like, "Oh, I don't want to have all that loose skin." And now I look back and think, "Oh my goodness, I was so unhealthy." And the issues I had being overweight, and I couldn't go and ride with the kids. I wouldn't sit on those stupid little chairs they pull out at school at parent-teacher interviews. I always pretended I had a sore knee or something. So I was just terrified of sitting on those teeny weeny little chairs, and little things like that people don't realise. And I said, just doing chores around the house, vacuuming or hanging up washing was exhausting because I was carrying around 50 kilos. If I picked up 50 kilos now, I'd probably give myself a hernia. But I carried that all the time. So it was really just exhausting being that big. I think all the things I had to deal with then as opposed to the skin was like, and the skin is much easier to disguise than 50 kilos. It's like, you can't hide that 50 kilos. That's not going nowhere. But the skin was easier to hide. But in saying that also, I thought if anyone looks at that skin and they're offended by that, they would have been much more offended by me the way I was before, and I don't really care. But it's a personal choice. It's not something you have to have done. It's just, if you feel, for me, it was completing the journey. I'd never, ever, ever, ever started a diet or lost weight and kept it off, ever. So when I did do this, it was like, I actually saw this from beginning to end. I started there. I started point A, got to point B. I really want to finish this. So for me, it was finishing it off. But 95% of our patients probably don't have anything done. So yeah, it's a personal choice. Thank you all for
Thank
listening.
you. I think Melanie's story it's amazing. 50 kilos, think about that. That's an excessive amount of weight for one person to lose, and how life-changing that can be. I think some of the really lovely things to see from my point of view, watching what Melanie's been through, is seeing her do things like stand-up paddleboarding and getting out there on her bike and doing things like that with a young family. I think
mud
is
rush.
absolutely beautiful. Oh, the mud rush. Yeah, she likes to roll in the mud too. So.
No, I hated it. I hated it, but I did it because I can.
Yeah, and being physically able to do those things and wanting to actually get out there and have a go, I think is just fabulous and such a great story. We do have a plastic surgeon here as well. So for patients who do need any type of body contour surgery, we do have a specialist plastic cosmetic surgeon who does do a lot of this type of procedure and looks after our patients when they have lost a lot of weight and do need to have some kind of revision body contour surgery. I think it's important, and I think for a lot of people, they like to be able to come back to, to still stay within their home environment, to actually have that managed for them as well.
Just shop, isn't it?
It is. And on that subject, we still want you to love food and enjoy food. And I think for a lot of people where food has been, the convenience has been the problem, we actually want to convert that into convenience being a benefit for you after surgery. So for the first 3 months after surgery, we actually have put together a program, I'm not sure whether Bonnie mentioned it, but where you can actually purchase your fresh food cooked for you and portion controlled from us here, just to learn about what that should look like. And it should be delicious, it should be nutritious, it should be fresh, prepared in a kitchen, not frozen and reheated in a microwave, but something that's really delicious for you. And so we've put something together that you can actually try that and hopefully learn from that as well. So the dietitians will tell you all about that when you meet them in consultation. All right, I think we've saved the best for last tonight. So we're always very, very fortunate to have some incredibly generous people who love to come along and share their stories, and every month we do have different guests come along and share their personal journey. Tonight Suzanne is here to share hers. Please make her welcome. Thank you very much.
Hi everybody, I'm Suzanne. On the 18th of June 2013, I had a gastric sleeve done. I'm sorry, my story's not going to be as good as Michelle's, but look, I actually was quite large, and I was heading towards being in a wheelchair full time. And I wasn't coping, I couldn't do stairs, I couldn't walk. I tried to go to the gym and looked at the treadmill and went, yeah, right. Looked at the bike and went, yeah, that's going to get lost up there, and, or else I'm going to break the other one. So I wasn't coping. I tried, as like everyone else, all sorts of diets, didn't work. I quietly, for about 2 years, and I think I made appointments to come to this meeting like you guys did, and good on you for doing it, because I made 5 appointments over several years and never came to one. And then one day I went, I'm going, and I've never looked back. It is amazing. I'm a very social person. Yes, I do drink. I'm always out and about and everything like that. When I go out to dinner and things, I'll order a meal and I'll get an entree, or if I get a main and that. What I don't eat, if the boys don't eat it at the table first, that's fine. I actually always take a container in my handbag. So what I don't eat, I put what's left over in my container, take it home, use my dinner the next night. So I don't deny myself anything. If there's something I want to eat, I'll have a couple of mouthfuls and I'll go, yeah, I'm over that now. And everyone's going, sure, let me eat it. So, you don't worry about it. You just get so used to it. One thing I will say to everybody, this group of people that are here, they are amazing. Their support and everything is top notch. They were fabulous to me coming through here. I was scared, even though no one would actually believe that. I was shaking inside, but they've made my journey so much easier. Always there at the end of the phone, aren't you, Carol? If something was going on and I wasn't sure, I rang and usually always got Carol, and she put my mind at rest or anything like that. The positives is unbelievable, and I'd recommend everybody to give it a go. You've had it yourself and you'd know exactly what I'm saying, but I will share something with you. I've just come back from North Straddie on Sunday. At North Straddie, they've got this big gorge and there's steps, and it takes over half an hour to walk around. I've been going there for 20 years. I've never been able to do the gorge. Guess what?
You did it.
I did the gorge,
Oh,
and I did
yay.
it every day for the 7 days.
Oh, well,
Okay.
awesome.
Now the best thing is at the end, there's a little gelato shop. And my reward was one scoop of gelato ice cream at 9:30 every morning when they opened. That was my treat. And I tell you what, I went back to work today and asked them at 9:30, please go and get my gelato. I'm ready for it. That to me is the ultimate. And the best thing is, I'm not heading towards that wheelchair. That wheelchair is bugger off, mate. It ain't coming near me.
Good on you.
I can walk up stairs. Where I stayed at North Straddie was 3 flights of stairs. I couldn't walk upstairs. I was going up and down them 3 or 4 times a day. That to me is the ultimate. No, I don't do running because I'll give myself a black eye, and that ain't me. It's the positives and things like that. I don't have children, but my friends do have kids, and I love those kids dearly. They're my kids. Hey, I can keep up with them now, and it's just so much fun. It's a new life. I feel I can do anything and everything now. It doesn't stop me doing anything, and it won't stop any of you. It's just the old me has come back, and I'm pretty bubbly, and trust me, I now have to bring back the bubbliness because it went walkabouts. It's now come back. Yeah, and you understand that. I can't speak high enough of it, and I recommend it. Whatever you choose and whatever you go through, honestly, it's after my investigations and talking to a lot of people and just asking, but no one knew what I was up to. I chose the gastric sleeve. Even before I came to the first meeting, I had decided on the gastric sleeve. But what I heard so much more in the first meeting was like, oh, I didn't really realise that. But I chose that, and I've never looked back. And honestly, these group of guys, they're wonderful. And Dr. Adib, he is a funny man, quite a character, but he has an excellent sense of humour, and he was fabulous. He just made me feel I wasn't stupid, I wasn't dumb, I wasn't the ugly duckling anymore. He said, there's something beautiful in the inside you, let's find it. And I'm still looking, but it's coming through. I've still got a way to go, but hey, I don't care. This journey is amazing. So come on, guys, join me with it. Come and do it with me. You won't look back, honestly. So, sorry, it's not. So thank you, guys. All the best.
Fantastic story. Thank you so much, Suzanne. And I really, really love hearing about, a potential case story where, potentially the outcome would have been a wheelchair, or, what she's doing and what Suzanne's achieving now. I think it's just absolutely fantastic. It was so inspiring. Really, really proud of listening to your story, and just love every single moment of being able to share that with others as well. Is fabulous. Tonight, I think our stories have been a little bit dominated by the female team members and female stories, but I just wanted to mention as well that this is something that a lot of men also go through. We have some fantastic male advocates and patient stories who come along and share their personal successes as well. And I think it's really important to mention that, you know, that often actually recognise that they have a problem or to take ownership of making that choice to change their lives. Sometimes it's the men who are the little bit slower, you know, the fence sitters. So I just wanted to add that, you know, don't hesitate for the men who are actually watching us at home tonight. And if you'd like to speak to someone who's actually in your circumstances, we're more than happy to put you in touch with someone who can share with you their personal story as well. All right, in your bags, when you take them home, there's a lot of information in there. There's some magazines with some great stories and other patient stories in there. Please take the time to go through them. Any questions for me at this point in time? Right now. Do you feel as though you've had all of the questions that you came here tonight answered so far? I hope so. Happy at this point. All right, I'd like to thank our professional team and Suzanne for sharing everything and all the information that they've given tonight. I can't commend them highly enough. You know, if I could say one thing about what is different about Weight Loss Solutions Australia and why is this a special place to come to, it's probably because not only do we want you to feel as though this is your home territory when you come into our clinic, that it becomes a place where you're comfortable to be always, but that you've got an amazing team of people who seriously share a passion to change people's lives through the work that they do and through the benefits of having bariatric surgery. And it's something that we're fortunate enough that we get to see that every day. It is overwhelming and it's really, really encouraging, and it's a wonderful space for us to be able to work in. We hope to have the opportunity of sharing that opportunity with some of you tonight. We will stay and answer your questions individually if you'd like to. You are also welcome to make appointments tonight while you're here. Take advantage of making that first appointment tonight. For people who are here, I'll just actually probably close off to those of you who are online. Please contact us tomorrow. We do have a very special offer for people who have watched online tonight. If you do call us tomorrow, we'll let you know what that is. So thank you so much for joining us. For people who are here